Hey guys, welcome back to Stitching Up Trouble with Heidi from the Whimsical Workshop and
Mary from Coosa Mountain Lodge and Retreat. How are you today, Heidi?
good. How are you?
I am good. It's cold here.
And it's hot here, as the tank top shows.
Yeah, I'm in my very comfy Vermont flannel jacket. So
That's the Vermont flannel. You said flannel. I didn't know it was the special flannel.
it is the special flannel,
I love that stuff.
but it's somebody called it my clown costume. I think probably because I was wearing a different pair of, I was wearing plaid pants, but they were like packer
That
plaid.
Yeah, but even that
So
whole thing in the same plaid would be quite a sight.
yeah, yeah, but it was different plaid. So it just kind of makes me smile every time I put it on because I'm
Your
like
clown coat.
putting my clown costume on.
Oh my gosh.
So
Oh, well, it's funny because I'll be there next week, believe it or not. And it is
yeah,
still like 88, 90 degrees every day here in
yeah,
Arizona. I'm waiting, like when do we get to wear our warm clothes?
yeah. Let's see what our temperature is here today. It's 41 right now.
Jeez. Okay. Oops. Let me it's currently 76, but it's only 10:30 in the morning. So by this afternoon it'll be 88.
Yeah. So when you get here, hopefully on Tuesday, it'll be high of 70, low of 48.
All
But
right.
that's here
Okay.
in town.
Oh, and then going up to the mountains is colder?
Yeah.
Okay.
So let me look in Dahlonega right now. It is 34.
Yeah, well, next week when I get there, you will have a heat wave. That has happened to me everywhere, including Alaska. I bring all my lovely sweaters, and I end up wearing a tank top the whole time. So,
Yeah.
but
So,
we will keep our fingers crossed. So I was in San Diego this week because every week I'm never at home, and we went to a
right.
couple thrift stores, and I found the coolest little wool sweater that's like kind of boxy and it's gray, and I will bring it, and in the hopes that I can wear it.
Yep. Bring it.
So apparently in San Diego, if you like to go to Goodwills, go to the one down in downtown San Diego near the university because they got really nice clothes at that Goodwill. I came home with more than I should have.
That happens. You can
It does.
redistribute the really good clothes to the Goodwill in Arizona.
I took 5 black garbage bags to
Yeah.
Goodwill right before we left for Seattle. So it's kind of like it kind of ties into our topic here is
Yeah.
like most people do spring cleaning, I do at year-end cleaning, and we were going to Seattle the week before San Diego, and I realized it was going to be cold, wet, and rainy in Seattle. And this is what I have been wearing. This is my uniform for the last like 9 months. So all my winter clothes were shoved in the back of the closet. I had no clue what to pack. I was so frustrated that I said, forget it. And I pulled everything out of the closet, tried everything on, and got rid of 5 bags of clothes the night before we flew to Seattle, just so I could figure out what the hell to pack for Seattle.
Well,
There was some
it,
rage decluttering going on.
yeah. I've been um slowly working on it. Like I probably started about a year and a half ago,
Oh yeah.
decluttering in general. We had a storage unit um from when we put our house on the market, got, moved all the stuff that didn't make it look pretty into the storage unit. And then had been slowly moving stuff out of it and getting rid of it. I made a big push about a year and a half ago, I think, and got rid of the storage unit, cleaned out the garage enough. I have a car parked in the garage now. So I
Success.
yay. So I've been kind of trying to do that. And then in moving a lot of my stuff up to my studio, I've been trying to pare things back and really like I'm not moving anything that doesn't need to go up there. So, and this morning I did actually go through, I set a timer for like 15 minutes and just pulled stuff out of my closet that I did not want anymore. So,
Hmm.
shirts that I've
So
had
we
for a
were
couple of years.
we're on the
What?
same wavelength. We're on
Same
that
way.
same wavelength. Okay.
So I probably have a large trash bag full of shirts, like sweaters that are a little bit faded and just things like that that needed to go. So I've been kind of working on that on and off
Good.
for the last year and a half. So I do recognize that I have too much stuff and that it needs to go. Some things need to go.
Well, and in my case, I mean, as we've talked about throughout the podcast, I have literally been on the road since July, like as my husband says, I have been on the road more than I have been home. And that's not him being exaggerating. That's actually true. And I think the stepping away and then coming back, stepping away, coming back, one, every trip I come home, stuff was piling up because I didn't have any time to put it where it needed to go or figure it out. So that was one. But two is stepping away and coming back. I'm stepping back into my chaos and I'm going, I need to take care of things. I need to get things situated. And I'm much more of an OCD kind of person. I like to be organized, and I'm like organized in chaos in the sense that like if I can't find a place, I shove it in something you can't see and put it away. So it's not really a good way to do it. So part of the podcast today was talking about getting ready for the new year, how, what I do and why for the process of it. And then Mary's going to jump in on her process as well. But it sounds like, I mean, it's that's the thing. Like if you're decluttering, in your case, you have multiple places and you have multiple rooms. And so to say I'm going to declutter my house is just, that is, and a storage unit, because we did 2 storage units a couple of years ago. And that is just like overwhelming. It's so overwhelming. But I had to find something on YouTube that would calm me down and make me feel a little better. So I found this one called The Space Maker. And she goes into, it's a series of videos. So it's not just one video. So like on one lady's house, she did 16 videos and you watched her take this little New York apartment of chaos that the woman couldn't even function because she couldn't find anything. And over the series got that apartment to a very calm, lovely, workable place. But she shows you the process. And for whatever reason, other people go to counselors. I watch them clean apartments or clean houses. And I found it very therapeutic and relaxing because they were taking chaos and turning it into calm.
Yes.
And on the trips and walking in my house and my schedule, and I mean, my life is chaos. So just watching somebody's life go from chaos to calm is telling me you'll get there too. It's not, this isn't forever.
Yeah.
So now after watching several of these, every time I open a drawer, I'm like, I'm going to take 5 minutes and clean this out and get rid of a bunch of stuff. And I'm slowly, like, I'm surprised how much. But before all of that, every year when I can in December, we do a full studio reset to get ready for the next year. Like,
Right.
I don't know, but we talked about that, you and I, off camera last week. You do the same thing with your projects, right?
No, you said that I
Well, I guess I
should, but I don't.
was telling you I do it and you were saying you should. I thought you were saying you did it as well.
I mean, I do it occasionally. Usually, when I do it is before I know I'm going to attend some retreats, and I kind of go through some of them and pull, like, okay, I'm going to work on these 3 projects this retreat. So I try to kind of do it throughout the year. I think it's interesting that you do it in December because for a lot of people, that is the time of year that they would have the least amount of time to do
Correct.
things.
Right. And
But
that's what's
you've
always
got
been
it.
weird about us.
Yeah, you've got it a little bit different because if you're doing projects because you're in the industry, your projects have to be done before the rest of us are going to start our projects.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So your December kind of slows down.
Right. Where everybody else kind of does it January, February.
Right, right.
So as a
So,
YouTuber, that's great. So I can show you the process before you get to it.
right. So that's kind of what maybe we'll accomplish today is talk about your process a little bit so that we're ready to go
Right. 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 Right.
after the
Yeah.
holidays, the first of the year, where we can hit the ground running and kind of have an idea of what we
Yeah.
want to do.
Because I would say most people can't even think about it till they're taking down their Christmas decorations. Then they're like, okay, I've got new gifts, I've got decorations, I've got everything. I don't know about you, but if you love Christmas, I love Christmas. But the week after Christmas, I am so ready to just stop the music, put the stuff away, and have a restart. So we don't tend to do that in our house, but I do have to do it in the studio. And like you said, December is our slowest time. That doesn't mean we're not busy and we still have to do work, but it's the time of year where I've allowed my brain to stop, in a way, stop going, okay, what's next? What's next? What's next? Instead, I'm able to sit down and make a list and say, what does 26 look like? How many trips do we have? How many of those are sewing retreats or classes? And then of all of the classes, how many need kits? And of those kits, how much has to be ordered? I mean, just that one little paragraph. How many things do I have to think about for one event, and then you add it by like 20 events, and then you have to be like, okay. So I usually will start with physically sorting through stuff before I do that whole mental exercise I just talked about,
Right.
because I'm too tired and too kind of worn out from 2025, really want to be thinking about 26. So I take like a couple, usually if I can get away with it, it's 2 weeks. And I literally tear the studio apart, like everything, move the furniture, clean the carpets. I haven't been able to do that for 4 years. So, that system may just be not happening.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I do purposely pull out all of my projects, all of my, and I know people have UFOs, so don't tell me you don't have a UFO. I have stitching UFOs, I have crochet UFOs, I have sewing UFOs, I have art UFOs, and I kind of pull them all out by category. I don't pull everything out, so I'll pull all my stitching out, and then I look at each one and I go, all right, this has been through my declutter for 4 years. Am I ever really going to sew this project? And and then I'm like, okay, so how far was I into the project? Like during pandemic, I did a bunch of subscription boxes and sew alongs. And I got to the point where I'm like, I'm never going to finish these, but half the blocks are done. So I bundled it all together, and I could have probably tried to sell it, but I gifted it to people at my next retreat. I said, who loves this quilt enough to finish it?
Right.
And
Yeah.
I emptied out like four projects. If it's not super far into it, I just pull the fabric out and put it into my stash, file the pattern and say this is done. I can clean this up. And I do have like a limited number of project boxes for sewing, and I'm not allowed to exceed the number of project boxes for sewing. So if I'm bringing in a new project, I kind of need to think about, am I going to get rid of one? So that's
Right.
sewing projects. So how do
Yeah.
you do your sewing projects? Like, how do you look at it?
It's very similar. I do have my projects and project bins, and I'm kind of always going through them
Right.
as I finish up one. Okay, what's the next one I'm going to do? And as I look at my stack, I'm like, okay, I no longer think I want to make that pattern. So I'll, like you said, pull the fabric from it and maybe put it towards a different project or just put it in my stash. I've started doing a lot of shop samples lately. So those aren't really allowed to be UFOs. So those have
Welcome to my
taken,
world.
yeah, but
Those
it's,
deadlines.
well, they do and they don't. They've been really helpful for me because if I don't have a deadline, then I never have to finish something, and then I can just be bought back and forth between all these different projects. So I do, like, throughout the year, go through my UFOs and determine if I still really want them, but I don't do it like all at once and systematically.
Hmm. Well,
Just I don't set aside a
you
certain
are
period of time to do
you're
it.
systematic about it, and you're probably more frequent than I am, so therefore you're probably more current on it. So
Yeah.
both systems work.
Yeah.
One system, I do look forward to December to do a big deep clean but I don't mind making chaos to create organization. Some people, that's
Right.
too much. So,
Yeah.
for you, it's like and you're constantly sewing. There's the difference. Like I only sew when, honestly, people, I only sew when I'm required to sew because I've done so much sewing. It's not relaxing for me. So I have a whole nother area of craft crap that I have to go through as well. The other thing that's a really good idea for giving people, we didn't plan this podcast, guys. We're kind of just flying by the seat of our pants. But
I'll tell
another
all our
really good
secrets.
thing is have a project journal. Or I always tell people, if you have a lot of projects, you love all of them and you can't decide what to work on each time, you can put them on little pieces of paper, throw them in a jar, really pretty jar, and say, you're going to go to a retreat or you're going to go sew. You pull out 3 pieces of paper or whatever, one, and that's what you work on that day. And then when you're done, if you finished it, you throw the paper away. If you haven't, you throw it back in the jar for the next go around. But that's for people who are indecisive and have time to sew. But it's just very therapeutic for me to go through it. And also, we have to like sometimes hold stuff. Like I'll do a sample in January, and then the client's like, "Oh, that job's on hold." And then we have to hold everything until we
Right.
know if the job is canceled. Or so
Right.
that's also another time of the year where I'm able to email different clients and say, hey, are we moving with this? Do you want this fabric back? What are we doing with it? Because I just don't have that much space to store all this stuff.
Right.
So that's another whole thing. So
Yeah.
since we're, oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think you hit on a very important point. You don't mind creating chaos in order to get the result that you want. I find I get very overwhelmed. Like if I were to pull everything out and start a big clean project and organization or whatever, it would never get done. I would have the energy or the focus to pull it all out and then like, okay, the fun's over, and it would just kind of stay that way without actually getting finished.
Right.
So
And you have to know your personality to do that.
correct, correct. So I have been listening to, her name is Dana K. White, and her YouTube is A Slob Comes Clean. And she has a no mess decluttering process that she uses.
Wait, I'm writing this one down. How is it I have a studio with no paper? There's a flaw in my system. All right, keep talking.
So her process, she has 5 decluttering questions that she asks. And the first, or the 5 steps. So her first one is to just get rid of trash. Only trash, look for trash, and get rid of it. Now, like you can say, well, I don't have trash sitting around my house. Well, you do.
You do, and you just don't realize it.
You have the pen that you don't like writing with, or it's almost dead. Throw it away. You have
I
shoes
got
that are
one. Paper clips. I like one size and one type of paper clips. But in my drawer, I had like 5 different types of paper clips. I'm never going to go for the other 4. Get rid of them.
right. Get rid of them. So it's things like that. So easy. There's no thought involved. Even if you throw away 5 pieces of trash, your place is already improved.
Mm-hmm.
So you're improving your place without making the chaos first.
Which is what I've been doing since I've been traveling because I haven't had the ability to do that.
Yeah.
Like I'll pull out a drawer and be like, I'm going to clean this out. I'm
Right.
going to put like with like.
Right. So that is one of her things later on in the process. So it's trash first, get rid of trash. Then she says the donations.
Mm-hmm.
So I know these pants don't fit me. I don't feel bad about, so get rid of it. So that's what I did this morning for like 10 minutes. I just pulled tops out of my closet that fit a little funny. I didn't like, I, would pass over every time, just so I got rid of that.
And we
And
all have
then,
those. I have those too. I'm like, why am I holding on to this shirt? I pass it over every single time. I put it
right,
on once. I don't like it. I hang it back up. Why?
right. Just put that right in the donate bin. So she starts out with like really easy stuff, and there's, 5 whole steps. Then she'll, say, she'll pick up something and say, okay, I have a purple scissors. If I needed a purple scissors, where would I look for my scissors?
Mm-hmm.
And then you take it there and put it away. And the question is, where would I look for it? Not where does it belong?
Right.
Where would I look for it?
Mm-hmm.
So if I would look for it right next to me on my sewing table, and that's where it goes. But if my sewing table's full of stuff and there's no room for it,
Right.
then I have to get rid of something in order to make room to put it away.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And so her process really, you can do it for 10 minutes, you can do it for 3 hours. You're going to see improvement. You're not going to make things any worse. And she takes like all the emotion out of it.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't feel bad for getting rid of anything.
Right.
So it sounds like.
And that's the hardest part. Like with my friend Linda, she's very emotional about what to get rid of. She's very, I mean, it is a very emotional, triggery thing. So, what sounds like going through your paper clips, like do easy wins, go through things that you're not emotionally attached to. Yeah.
Exactly.
So, yeah. So, well, here's a perfect example. This is my own, is I place things in the path of least resistance. So these are, nobody can see me if they're listening to the podcast, but these are clips that you put on your bolts of fabric to keep the fabric. So I had these in the cutest tin up on a shelf I could barely reach behind something. And every time I wanted to use them, I could not, I had to like make an effort to go around the cutting table, up on the bookshelf, move 3 things and open a tin. So now I just have them right here where I cut fabric. So it's the same idea as what you're saying.
Exactly.
But it's like path of least resistance. If I have to expel energy to get like your sewing machine. I always tell people if you really, really want to sew and you never find time to sew, the first thing I ask is, do you have a dedicated place you can put your sewing machine out? And if they say no, it's in the back of the closet, they're less likely to sew because they
Exactly.
have to go do it. So it's energy they're expelling. Now, not
Exactly.
everybody has the luxury of leaving their machine out, but even a little tray table where it's out and you can move it to the dining room table is one less effort than unpacking it, unloading it. But
Exactly.
yeah, so it's not, yeah. And I think we're a society of stuff.
We are.
Like, and quilting's the same thing. It's like, it's so easy to accumulate notions and scissors and pins. And so that's a whole nother thing. Like, I want to talk about how we go through fabric, but first, notions. We were talking about this, I think, off camera too. It's okay to go through all your notions. No, you only like this kind of pin. No, you only are going to use these things. We're gifted a lot of notions, and we accumulate notions that shows because we get the adrenaline rush because this one notion is going to make my life so much better. Be honest with it, and then donate it to quilt guilds. There's all kinds of, like, I now when I go to a new state, I go to the art recycle stores, and this is where teachers can go get stuff. You
Yes,
know,
we had fun at the one in Houston last year.
yeah. And I went to one in Seattle, and then we were trying to go to one in San Diego. It just opened too late, so we missed that one. But those are great places to give those things to, because even though it's not your favorite notion, it's someone else's.
Correct.
Don't hang
Yes.
on to it.
Yes. Yes. And one other thing, like when you're talking about your fabric clips that you keep right there,
Mm-hmm.
I attempted the whole Marie Kondo thing.
Oh gosh, that's
It helped, but it's too much to maintain. But the one
mhm.
thing that I took from her was do not organize things so that it's easy to get out. Organize things so it's easy to put it away.
Okay. I
And
would have thought
just
it would go both ways.
make things easy to put away,
Okay.
not necessarily easy to take out. If you want something, you're going to go through the effort to take it out.
But just like
But
the
then it's
sewing
out.
machine, if
How do
it's too
you,
much that effort, you're never going to take it out.
but if everything is easy to take out,
Right. But hard to
you're
put
going to have
away, you're never going
everything
to put it
out.
away. Yeah.
You're never going to put it away the way it's supposed to. So, if you have trouble with things being chaotic,
Mm-hmm.
organize so that you can put things away easily.
Yeah.
So now you no longer have to open the tin to put the
Move the
clips
base,
back
open the
in. Right. So that is sort of doing it so it's easy to put away.
Well, and
So
the other plus to doing it, what was it? A slop came clean? Is that what it's called?
the slob comes clean. Yeah.
Comes, okay. The other bonus to doing it her way versus my way, which is, dump the room and then do it, is I will clean my whole studio, and then the whole month of January, I can't remember where I put anything. But if I clean out one drawer because I have
Right.
5 minutes, I
Right.
know where things are because it's
Right.
not a lot of change very quickly.
Right.
So yeah, so we've talked about projects and notions. And the hardest thing is people gift it to you and you're like, oh, so there's so much guilt to a gift. And it's like, just remember, if you were gifted something and you need to move it out and give it to someone else, you are like technically gifting it to someone else. Someone else is going to be really happy that that thing showed up in a thrift store or art store or whatever. The
Yes.
fabric. I would love to hear in the comments below how many people go through their fabric stash. Go through it, think about it, and unload some of their fabric? Or do they only do it when it gets to a point where they can no longer move and do it? So in the comments, let us know if you sort your stash or not, because I find this is the one thing most people avoid. Most people do not clean out their stash. And I think it's really funny because the one thing we all love to do is pet fabric. And when you sort your stash, you get a chance to pet all your fabric. So,
Well,
Mary, do you sort your stash? Do you ever go through your stash? Except for when you're
um,
looking for a project?
I have recently gone through my stash and
Did
pulled
you know
out,
I was going to ask this question?
no, I pulled out all my quote unquote ugly fabric
Mm-hmm.
because I am teaching stripology
Right,
classes.
right. Yeah.
And when I do that workshop, I provide the fabric
Mm,
because I'm just teaching techniques. I'm not teaching a project.
correct. Okay.
So I pulled out all the ugly fabric out of my ugly fabric, out of my stash.
Your least favorite fabric.
My least favorite, things that I was least likely to use,
Hmm.
and I have that cut up into those kits for those classes. So that was
Nice.
a really good way to kind of reevaluate and clear some of the stuff out.
Hmm.
So I have my fabric all rolled on magazine boards.
Which I am going to do because I do not have a lot of fabric. Believe it or not, I
It
have a very little stash.
Yeah, but it's wonderful. So I have it all out on my shelf so I can see it. So my studio looks pretty, but it also is really helpful for fabric pulls. So magazine boards are acid free cardstock. There's two different sizes. There's comic book boards and magazine boards.
Yeah, and
Magazine board.
I didn't know that because I use the comic book boards to wrap all of my hand embroidery and cross stitch fabrics, and I write at the top of the board what size, what type.
Mhm.
But I didn't think they'd be big enough for fabric, and you're right, they're not.
Right.
I'm
So
looking them up.
the magazine boards are 8.5 by 11. They're cardstock. They're acid free. They are meant for helping to preserve collectible magazines. So I fold my fabric in half, fold to salvage, and then it is almost the exact size as the height of a magazine board. And then I just roll it on the magazine board and store it that way.
And it looks like they're um $22 for 100 of them. But some of these do not say acid free, so make sure you get the acid free ones. So, yeah, no, I definitely. And then you'll know how many pieces of fabric you have because you know you're buying packs of 100.
Correct.
How
Correct.
many
I'm
packs
not
does it
telling
take
how
to
many
do
I
your
bought.
fabric?
I'm not telling how
Well,
many I bought. It was an early.
this right here, that is my
Mhm.
fabric stash. That's all I have. I have rolled fabric in those 4 bins. That's it. Now, do I have bolts of fabric laying around? Yes, but that's all I've got. So I
That's
think I can,
that's different.
yeah.
But it makes it very easy for me to see what I have.
Right.
So
And for you to clean
I
it out
used to
would be
just
easy.
have yeah, I used to just have bins of folded fabric everywhere, and then I didn't really know what I had, and
Right.
it
Right. Right.
wasn't easy to use what I have. So now with it full, wrapped around the fabric boards, it's standing up on the shelf like a bookshelf, and I can just pull what I need and I can see what I have. Um, I may not go through my fabric stash very much, but it is all visible for me to see
Hmm.
so I can use it.
Well, and you had a reason to go through and pull out fabrics you didn't like for kids. So for people who don't do that, people who are just quilters, I do recommend because we bring in fabric constantly. Well, I used to when I was a quilter. You're constantly, oh, I want this fabric or that fabric. And the thing is, if you've been doing it for several years, you do it, 10, 15, 20 years, your taste will slightly change. And so there's no reason to hang on to fabrics that you bought 15 years ago that you may not love as much anymore when it could go. Think of it as a way of donating it to go into a quilt for charity for somebody else, so I do, even when I roll these, especially when I roll these, I do each year kind of just do a quick pass over and go, I really liked Dusty Rose 20 years ago. I don't like Dusty Rose anymore. And I'm not going to ever use this. Or you learn your style as you learn to quilt. So the stuff you may have bought at the beginning isn't going to fit. Or you bought, way too much fabric for your nephew's wedding quilt 20 years ago. It was his colors, not yours. That's what I mean. Like just giving it a
Yeah.
Passover. Think of it as a
Yeah.
way of giving yourself more room for new friends to come in.
There you go.
So,
Yes. Yeah.
so I don't do fabric every year, but I do it. Doodle says hi. I do it every couple of years just to kind of stay on top of it because I've gone to enough estate sales for quilters who have passed, and you look at the fabrics and go, this was bought from 1920, which may be now an antique, but not.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
hang on a sec. People are leaving and she's gonna go crazy. So let me go grab her. Come on, good girl. Do you know today is her birthday?
How old is she today?
She's 5 years old today. Good girl. She did not bark. Sorry, guys. This is what happens when I do a podcast not on her daycare days.
That's all right. It's real life.
It is real life.
So I think that's a really good suggestion is just to, occasionally pay attention to what you have and go through it. And it's okay to, to do either technique. So
Mhm.
your way of doing things where you set aside a time, you do it all at once, you get it taken care of. Then it's a one and done. You have gone through your stuff, you've organized, and now you can spend the rest of your time just doing your creative work, um, and move on from there. I don't have the attention span to do that. So what I do is several times a week, I will set a 15-minute timer or a 30-minute timer and just, clear off my flat surfaces. And in clearing off the flat surfaces, if there's anything that needs to go, I'll
Mhm.
either toss it or put it in the donate bin or whatever. But then I will also go, okay, I have 15 minutes. I'm going to go through just this drawer. Like you were talking that your space maker videos were doing. Okay, I'm just going through this drawer. It doesn't have to be an all day thing.
Mhm.
But now when I go back to this drawer, it's calm and peaceful. I've gone through
Yeah.
it and
And I know what goes in it, like paper
right,
clips or pens or,
right,
and the other thing is if you, for me also, that sets a deadline. When I tear down a room to clean
right.
it,
Yeah,
I know I live with other people that are not going to want to look at that. So that is my deadline. Like I have to say, okay, if I do this, I need to make sure we can get it all put away so people aren't stepping over my art supplies in
right,
the hallway, which is what
right.
happens. I need to get it put back. But I do it kind of, it's also like a, it's a way to, for me to end a year and start a year. It's a way for me to say, to kind of think about as I'm going through things. I'm like, oh yeah, we got this when we were here, or I got this job and I did this. So the whole time I'm cleaning, I'm actually also kind of revisiting the whole year and what, because honestly, I cannot believe we're at the middle of November. Last time I looked, it was July.
Yeah, yeah,
Somehow we had Halloween. I totally missed it. I don't even know where I was for Halloween. I was somewhere for Halloween. I think I might have been here. But anyway, totally missed it. So for me, that time is also a reset for me. But now, if you've listened to this whole podcast and you're like, this cleaning crap is not for me, I also was watching the Space Maker YouTube, and you were probably watching the Slob Came Clean YouTube because there is also something very therapeutic about watching other people do their space and create the calm. You get the high from cleaning a space without ever touching a thing. And
yeah,
so, in a way, it's also kind of a mental cleanse as well to just watch somebody
yes,
else clean their space
yeah,
without ever having to clean up your space. And then you
yes,
can look at your space and go, I like it. I'm good. I'm happy. I
yeah,
got my fix from the videos. I guess that this was a journey I kind of went on, and
yeah,
I do am. It's also knowing that I have a couple of weeks that I'm not on a trip.
yeah,
That's a whole nother reason to look forward to cleaning my studio is like, oh,
yeah,
I get to nest a little. I get to be home.
yeah,
I get to
yeah.
I get to put sweatpants on every day. I don't have to wear makeup. Unfortunately, I still have to work. If we could just figure that part out for a week or two.
Mhm. Yeah,
Which is part of the reason I do it over Christmas. I do a lot of this
right.
over Christmas when everybody else is gone and nobody's bugging me.
Exactly, exactly. So one thing you mentioned about watching the videos and like you having the satisfaction of watching somebody's room come together and be more peaceful.
Mhm.
If like I like to put on a video like that while I'm cleaning because then it feels like I have
A buddy.
a buddy doing it with me. It's a technique called body doubling.
I've heard that term, but I didn't know what the heck that meant.
Yeah, so it's basically having somebody work alongside you
Mhm.
and you're both basically doing the same thing.
Okay. All
You're
right.
not helping each other, you're not necessarily interacting a whole lot, but you've got somebody next to you working on kind of the same thing. So if you put on one of those videos, it is very helpful to
Right.
help you
It's
be
kind of like you're
inspired.
both going down the same road.
Right. So think about like when you were in school, you go to the library and meet up and you study with somebody.
Right. 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 Right.
That is body doubling. Or if you work better like at a coffee shop, you bring your computer or your notebook or whatever, you get a cup of coffee and there's 10 other people in that coffee shop that are also on their computer doing work or writing notes or
Yes,
whatever. It's called body doubling. It's an ADHD technique, which I've been diagnosed with ADHD.
I have not, but man, I gotta have it.
Yeah. So it's just a technique to help you kind of stay in it
Mhm.
focused, and watching cleaning videos and cleaning while you're watching them is a form of body doubling.
Oh, nice.
So,
I like I said, I
y-
heard the term. I didn't know what it was. I do that with Violet, and we've actually talked about doing it when I'm there. Is like when we were in New York, I'm like, I need to focus on my work, so I'm gonna go to Starbucks and sit there where no one can bug me. And Violet is like, can I come too to do my homework? And we like it worked beautifully, but it was really kind of weird. We were there for like 2, 3 hours and said maybe two words to each other because we were both doing what we were supposed to be doing. So we talked about doing that over Thanksgiving because I'm like, you will have homework, right?
and you can do that via Zoom.
No, that's true. That's
You can
true.
get on a Zoom call with her and
Yeah.
just, so I did that with a friend this morning. We both have administrative type things that we need to do for our business.
Oh, yeah. I should have been on that call because mine's still sitting there undone.
So I got on a call. We're like, okay, what are you working on? This is what I need to do. What do you need to do? Okay. We set a timer for 30 minutes. After 30 minutes, we checked in. Did you do what you were supposed to do? Did you do what you were supposed to do? Yes,
Oh,
no.
that's brilliant.
Yeah. And it's very helpful because it puts my butt in my seat for an hour on a Monday morning to start off the day right. So, but like with quilting, when people come to retreats, a lot of times they say they get so much more done at a retreat. And part of it's because there's less distractions, but part of it is because you've got
Everybody
people
else is doing
around
it.
you that are also doing the same thing.
Right. Yeah. I learned a new whole thing.
There you go. So there is kind of a point to this whole podcast.
It was pretty streamlined. We got there.
It did, but we had been discussing this for a different purpose, for like
Yeah.
an actual purpose. So one of the things that we are working on for the new year is a a monthly segment on sewing room organization, streamlining, how to get the most out of your sewing space, and possibly trying to involve our listeners a little bit more in interacting and helping each other through some challenges of decluttering or organizing specific areas of your sewing room and doing a different specific area each month. So
Yeah, because let me tell you, quilters have the best tips on things. So, like the
they
way I
do.
store scissors, they're not my favorite way. Maybe someone else has a better way to hang stores. Where you have a studio, like my studio has zero closet, zero wall space. So, how do you store things without a closet and wall space?
Right.
That kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
So we
I
are
think,
going to, Heidi touched on some of the areas that we're going to work on. We're going to talk about decluttering your notions and going through your notions and making sure that you have easy access to the ones that you use all the time and the ability to let go of some of the ones that you don't need. And we're going to do that with fabric. We're going to help you with patterns, books, thread, and things like that. So that is one of our segments or topics that we're going to do throughout the year. And we're
and
working
now she said it
on
on air, so we have to do it.
that's an accountability thing. We're working on that too.
Who wants to be accountable?
So, we're also working on a fun challenge to start the new year. So, as you are working on your holiday sewing and your end of year projects,
Hmm.
we all can't dismantle our sewing spaces like Heidi does in December, but we all
It's a lot of
can.
work, so don't
It
do it if
is.
you're not, if you,
Yeah. Yeah. But we all can think about what we want our space to look and feel like in the new year. And we can, maybe just jot down some notes on I want a new system for storing my fabric, or I have way too many rulers, or
Mhm.
things like that. And, maybe just think a little bit about how you plan to tackle it in the new year. And we are going to do our best to help you at least once a month try to tackle one of those tough areas in your sewing room.
Which
So,
means we have to tackle them as well, which will help us too.
very much so. Yes.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
I mean, you're going to tackle it all in December, so you'll be fine.
Well, so let me back up a little bit. What I do is I tear it all down. I clean the area, I get rid of like the easy things. But I also find departments for stuff. Like all my thread is here. So my thread throughout the year may end up all over the place. It gets all goes back to its place. The sorting and what we're talking about, downsizing some of the stuff, that takes so much longer. I do have to, like, my job is to get the room clean, organized, get all the stuff that you've collected all year that you really don't want and get it out. And then I always run out of time in the organizing and systems. Like, what is the best system? Because I can tell you that if you put, like, I have a ruler stand here with the rulers I use, and I have a clever way to do other rulers, but I have a whole drawer of rulers. I forget I have that drawer of rulers. So the last time I opened that drawer of rulers was last year when I cleaned out the drawer of rulers. So it's also like looking at, what do you own and is it accessible? Because if it's not accessible, you're going to forget you own it and you're not going to touch it. So now, as I've brought attention to it, I'm like, yeah, right. I have not touched that ruler drawer since I created the ruler drawer. So that system doesn't really work.
Right.
So, and
Right.
obviously, I either have already bought a duplicate ruler because I forgot about it, or I don't really need all those rulers. So,
Correct.
we do collect stuff, and I am the peddler of stuff. I do talk people into buying
Yeah.
more stuff, but
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. So,
oh yeah, we just said 150 pounds store to Mary for the retreat next week. So yeah,
yep.
don't listen to this if you're going to be at my retreat. You need to buy some stuff.
So, a good place to start if you want to organize your sewing room, if you have a sewing room, get the things that are in your sewing room that don't belong, get them out. So,
And on the same note, if you have sewing stuff throughout your house, get that stuff into the sewing room.
so that's your first challenge
Mm-hmm.
is get the things that don't belong in your sewing room, get them out of your sewing room.
And this counts for sewing closets, sewing cabinets. Like, not everybody has a full room. Some people just have part of a bedroom. Some people have they share the space with the dining room table. And then really consider, do you need that dining room table? Does your family ever really eat at that dining room table?
Okay, we're going way
Yeah.
beyond right now. Let's start simple. If there's anything in the room that you are in right now that doesn't
That you
belong
don't
in the
need.
room, well,
Yep.
that belongs somewhere
You're
else in
right.
the house.
Right. Right.
Get it into the room it belongs in.
Yeah. That's step one.
That's so step one. So you're not throwing anything away. You're not making any decisions. You're just putting stuff in the right room they
Room.
belong in.
Yeah. We
So
don't even
I
have to put
had
it away in that room. Just put it in that room.
Right. I had a bin of light bulbs that I brought down here that had been taking up space. So I got that out of there and put it actually back in the garage where it belongs. So just little stuff like that that kind of, creeps into your space.
Mm-hmm.
Do that first. And then
Yeah.
check back with us and we'll have more wonderful tips and tricks for
Yes.
organizing
And
yourself.
as we sign this one off, I want to thank people. I saw that we got comments on Spotify. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yay.
I see them on my YouTube channel. I appreciate that. But Spotify, I didn't even know you get a notice when you get a comment. So that's how few comments we've had, girls and guys. Come on.
Yeah.
Just say hi.
So also, if you have a trouble spot in your sewing room or something that is a stumbling block for you to be able to enjoy your sewing time in your room, let us know and we can workshop it and try to get some solutions for you.
Exactly. So we've run over. This is gonna be a long one, but I want to make sure we don't break our streak and say hi, Shannon.
Hi, Shannon. She has so many good organizing ideas and different project bins and things like that for
Yeah.
you to put your
Yeah.
fabric in.
Yeah. I
Patterns
think we
for
could do
project gigs.
we could do a whole side podcast on organizing your stuff.
Yeah. All right.
All
Well,
right.
thank you for tuning in, everybody. I hope this was
And
helpful. If it
yeah.
wasn't helpful, I hope it was at least entertaining.
In our next podcast, I will be in Georgia for the next 2 weeks, starting next Tuesday.
Yes.
Hopefully we will fly in and have no issues and get there. So our next one will be our first one in person together.
Yes.
For you guys. We've been in person together many times, but
It'll be our first official podcast together.
which, that means I get to go to your studio then. Because that's probably the easiest place to do it is your studio.
Well, we could do one from each building if we wanted to.
Yeah, that's true. I will be there for a little while. But anyway, so next one will be a little bit different. So if you don't watch it on YouTube, make sure you tune in over there as well. They go up on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, the Whimsical Workshop YouTube channel. And I know, Mary, you've been getting them up on Kusa. Not as quickly because
Yes.
you've had a lot going on. But either one, Kusa Mountain Lodge or the Whimsical Workshop on YouTube. So
Yes.
with all of that and all of your orders and your homework and everything, we're going to let you go because you're going to be busy bees. And we will
Yeah.
see you in the next one, right?
All right. Bye, Heidi.
Bye. See you later.